Hello everyone, it's me Uncle John. Today I am going to read S6 6048 Art and the Nerves of Steel. Chapter 6. Buster arrived at Arthur's house a short time later. He glanced around quickly. I don't think I was seen, he said to himself. Now if Arthur will just... Hi Buster, said DW, opening the door. I saw you from the window. Don't say hi to me, said Buster. I'm not here. You're not? You sure looks like you're here. Well, looks can't be deceiving. Things are not always as they appear. DW looked confused. Never mind, Buster said quickly. Where's Arthur? Right here, said Arthur, coming down the stairs. What's up, Buster? See, you look terrible. Maybe it doesn't. Looks can be. What was that word, Buster? Deceiving. She nodded. Are you okay? Deceiving or not, you look a little pale. Buster swallowed nervously. I need to talk to you now. Okay, what's going on? Not here. We need privacy. Maybe in your cell. I mean, your room. He darted past Arthur and ran upstairs. Arthur shrugged at DW and followed Buster. What's this all about? Arthur asked once his bedroom door was closed. Why are you acting so weird? Why are you acting so weird? Imagine you had a friend. This friend did something he shouldn't have. He didn't plan to do it or anything. Somehow it just happened. It was an impulse, a bolt from the blue. Buster sighed. Never mind, he said. I guess you haven't opened your backpack since you got home. Arthur shook his head. Why? I'll show you. Buster picked it up and pulled out the cyber toy. Arthur gasped. Where did that come from? The drugstore. And how did it get in my backpack? Buster turned red. I put it there. You what? Buster flopped on the bed, covering his face with his hand. I stole it. I know he was wrong, but everyone had a saboteur except us. I couldn't help it. Arthur sat down on his bed. And you couldn't have getting me involved either? That's just great. A stolen toy. I didn't even know about it being stashed right there in my room. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to get anyone in trouble. Not you, not me, not anyone. But what do I do now? I don't even want a cyber toy anymore. That's the truth. Arthur sat down next to him. Well, what do you usually do when you get something you don't want? Buster stopped to think. Ask for a refund. Yes, well, that makes sense when you actually pay for something, but that's not the case here. Alright, so what then? You return it. Ah, said Buster. Of course, naturally, that makes perfect sense. We'll return it. That's the only thing to do. And it's the right thing to do. Cybertoy suddenly turned on and started walking across the floor. Shut that thing off, Arthur ordered. And get it out of here. Okay. But then what? You take it back. Buster blinked. Alone? You managed to take it that way, Arthur said. But I had your backpack to help. Couldn't you go with me, please? Arthur took a deep breath. All right. Don't panic. We'll just stop by the store and first thing in the morning. If you're lucky, no one else will never know if it was gone. And if you're not lucky, said Buster, Arthur took a deep breath. Don't even think about it. Chapter 7. The next morning, Arthur waited on the street corner for Buster to arrive. I don't see why I'm so nervous, he muttered, pacing back and forth. I didn't do anything. I mean, it was my backpack, but I wasn't in on the plan. Not that there was a plan, of course. Buster isn't a criminal mastermind. He paused. However, a criminal mastermind wouldn't want to throw suspicion on himself. So if Buster was a criminal mastermind, he would probably pretend to act just like Buster acts now. He looked up, but that's silly, I think. What's silly? Arthur jumped. Hey, no sneaking up on me. Friends don't sneak up on each other. Only criminal masterminds do that. I wasn't sneaking. I called out your name. You didn't seem to hear me. Oh, Arthur looked around. Where's the you know what? Buster patted his backpack. Right here. Safe and sound. He shuddered. I had dreams all night of being chased by the thing. You do look a little sleepy. Arthur admitted. Is that why you're late? No. I was writing the note. It took me longer than I expected. I went through a lot of draft. What does it say? Dear drugstore, we didn't mean to take this cyber toy. Somehow, it just ended up in Arthur's backpack. It's still like new. You can check. Anonymous. Anonymous said what? Said Buster, so no one knows we did it. I think that's anonymous. Buster scratched his head. Are you sure? Positive. Besides, Buster, you mentioned my name. How unanimous or anonymous does that make it? It's kind of a big clue, don't you think? All right, I guess I was nervous. Well, we'll fix that. When they got to the store, Buster put the bag down at the door. Okay, let's go, he said. We can't just leave it outside, said Arthur. Someone might steal it. As long as it isn't me, said Buster. No, really, Buster? Arthur felt very strongly about this. Bad enough that we have to be here at all, but since we have to do this right. Buster said, okay, so what's your plan? My plan? If you don't want to just drop it and run, I figure you must have a plan of your own. Plan of my own? Arthur folded his arm. What do you want? What do you want it to do isn't a plan. A plan has to have several steps. A plan has to. It was a plan to me, said Buster. A nice simple plan. You could have called it plan A. But plan A isn't going to work, Arthur insisted. Front open. Good morning, said the pharmacist. Mr. Gage, I'm in the middle of taking inventory, but come on in. Arthur and Buster shared a worried glance, then followed him inside. Now on to plan B, Buster whispered. Chapter 8. As Mr. Gage went back to checking his stock, Buster pulled Arthur aside. So how do we do this? Arthur thought for a moment. I'll keep Mr. Gage busy in the candy aisle while you return the cyber toy. Remember? The security camera is watching. Buster nodded and tiptoed away. Arthur made his way over to the candy, where Mr. Gage was checking his supply. I guess candy must come and go pretty quickly here, said Arthur. Mr. Gage nodded. It's a sweet spot. Sales. Sorry, that's a drugstore joke. And a good one, said Arthur. I can't wait to share it with my friend. Does candy change much over the years, though? Chewy is still very solid, but Sticky is not as popular as it once was. Too many kids with braces. Ah, how interesting. Eric, did you have that? Asked Mr. Gage. I think it was Buster. Well, Mr. Gage, we better go see what's going on. They found Buster standing in front of the cyber toy display rack. It was empty. Oh no, said Arthur. Buster just nodded hard. Don't worry, boys. We ran out last night, but I have already got my new order in. He shook his head. Everyone wants a cyber toy, but I guess I don't have to tell you that. Buster smiled weakly. If you need anything else, let me know. He went back to work. Now what? If we leave it now, he'll know we brought it. Arthur made a face. Give it to me. Now, you go look at the candy. Arthur looked around frantically. Where could he put the cyber toy? Where would a little kid maybe put it and forget about it? Aha, he said. Bunny lunchbox display. Speaking blocky carefully, Arthur put the cyber toy on the floor behind it, but he was so relieved to be done. But he didn't notice the cyber toy starting to walk off behind him. Arthur returned to the candy aisle. Hold on, Buster. Uh-oh, Mr. Gage was just explaining the difference between caramel and nougat. Come on then, we better not to be late for lunch. Hold on there. Didn't you boys come in for something? Oh, just these job breakers. He picked out a few. That'll be 65 cents, said Mr. Gage. Buster paid for the candy. Thanks, boys. Arthur and Buster turned to leave, but as they started forward, the saboteur whirled out from behind an aisle and crossed their path. That's funny. How did this get here? When he saw Buster's note, which was still attached to the bag, he began reading. I see. Says, so whose idea was this? Whose idea? You mean whose idea? I think that's what he meant, said Arthur. That's why he said it. I was just checking. Foot tapping was getting harder. Boys, I'm still waiting. Okay. I did it, me. Check your security camera. You will see I'm guilty. I tell you. Mr. Gage looked up at the ceiling. The security camera, it isn't even working. But my phone is, and I think I better make some calls. Chapter 9. Arthur and his parents were standing by the front door of the drugstore. Next to them stood Mrs. Baxter and Buster. All the parents had arrived quickly following the phone call from Mr. Gage. While their parents kept perfectly still, Arthur and Buster were shifting the weight from one foot to the other. Boys, I know you meant well by returning the toy, but stealing it in the first place, that was wrong, very wrong. If there are damages, Mr. Reed began. We'll pay whatever you think is fair, said Mr. Spector. Mr. Gage held up a hand. I'm sure you would, and I appreciate that. I also appreciate that this was a momentary lapse of a conscience, an act of passion. You might say, I remember when I was a boy, there was this butterfly yo-yo I wanted in the worst way. I also appreciate that the boy tried to correct their wrong, so I accept their apology. I could, however, use a little help with my inventory the next Saturday. They will be here, said Mrs. Reed. But bright and early, Mrs. Baxter added. Excellent. Then I think we can consider the matter closed. On the way out, Arthur finally forced out a few words. I know it was a dumb thing to do. I'm sorry. You should have come to us when you found out what Buster did, said his mother. Even though you didn't take the toy to begin with, covering up the theft just made things worse. We are disappointed in you, Arthur, and Buster too. Dumb, dumb, dumb. It'll never happen again. Meanwhile, Mrs. Spector was walking briskly with the Buster in the other direction. You're going to have a long time to think about what you did. Arthur was wrong, but he didn't still start this, and he was trying to help a friend. You don't have that excuse. Well, I wish I did, said Buster. Yes, I imagine you do. In any case, I hope you have learned your lesson. She paused. And what do you think that lesson is? The security cameras are not always on when you think they are. Buster! Chapter 10. Buster looked down at the brain. And that's why I'm inside on a perfect Sunday afternoon, all because of a toy I just had to have. He shook his head. There was some story, said the brain. It had action, suspense, and everyone learned a valuable lesson. You could say that, said Buster. My mother says I'm going to be learning my lesson for the next month. Except for school and going to the store on Saturday, I'm stuck at home. So the knight remains imprisoned in the castle tower, said the brain. I have just one question. After making this big mistake and then learning from it, do you think someday you will get to live happily ever after? Buster glanced behind him, where his mother had been listening to him tell the story. She smiled. Buster smiled back and turned again to the brain. I sure hope so, he said. The end.